Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Ubuntu channel. We are broadcasting live from Lusaka today.
An honor to be here for the first time, and it's very humbling, especially with your introduction where you had special. I really feel special to be on Ubuntu channel this evening, and of course, every time you see some of us, it's the 100% Zambian football, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks once again. I don't know how should I introduce you as a football analyst, as a sport commentator. I don't know. Tell me, Bwezani, guide me.
Look, the super sport thing came because of my blogging. Understand? So, Zambian football blogger, for me, it works well. And of course, there are people that call me super sport analyst in their area. It's fine, but I think just football analyst is fine.
Oh, thanks. Okay, so before we actually dive into the program, let me go personal to you. So, how did you start this whole thing of being a blogger and a football analyst?
Well,
Where did you
of
get
course,
the passion from?
Yeah, the story is long, but I'll break it down. Um, I'm born and bred in Livingston. I'm a Livingston person. I found myself working for Radio Msotunya around 2007. Yeah, around 2007. I found myself working for Radio Msotunya. I was made head of programs, and it was very difficult to find the Zambian football news. Okay, very, very hard. 2007, 8, 9, it was practically difficult to follow the league table and everything. Now, because I was head of programs, I just took it upon myself. Can I do something that people could be quoting, find information on Zambian football? Just start. And I started developing content for people that were going on radio to talk about Zambian football. Because at that time, if you remember very well, Arsenal, Manchester United, Chelsea, those were big. And the Zambian football was actually overshadowed. So I took upon that one. And I think by 2010, 2012, just around that time, I had left Radio Msotunya. Then I had a lot of time on myself to start blogging about Zambian football. So I think by the time Zambia was winning the AFCON, I was not so much into it. But after that, I had to create my page, Bwezani Zambian football, and it is from there that everything just went to what you know today.
Now, wonderful. Now, Bwezani, I don't know if I should call it a good Friday today or a bad Friday for Zambia, because our under 17 women's team has just lost to Cameroon 2-0. What's your take?
Well, first of all, big development. And I think, look, for a long time in the history of Zambian football, we never saw this. But now we are able to recognize a loss. You understand? Because the girls are involved in a lot of competitions. Okay, so it's, yes, the 2-0 lead could lead as a bad Friday, but I think on the development of these girls, it's massive. It's seriously massive. Just count on African continent. How many nations would actually reach this far? So for me, I won't dwell so much into that result, but I would dwell so much into the development stage of these girls who have now participated in what we would call under 17 COSAFA. Now, seeing them, they may not make it, of course. They're down 2-0, but there's a lot also that can happen in Cameroon. But just this exposure, it's huge. So if you're calling it a bad Friday because of that result, you better think about it again. This is good development for the girls.
Good development indeed. Now, next week on Tuesday, CAF has just announced that we're going to have the 2023 AFCON draws, and they will take place in South Africa around 17 hours, 17:30, if I'm not mistaken, and they'll be live on SuperSport. Are we going to qualify this time? Is Zambia going to qualify as national team, or maybe we're still on the drawing board?
But look, there's something special about this time around, and what I call special is that we have a coach before everything starts. And if you check our qualification in the last two AFCONs, we've had different coaches involved in one running of qualification. Okay, Agre starts, Micho takes over. Before that, we had Sven, who came towards the end, tasked to qualify. It was difficult. By this one, I think we have Asanovic, one coach. Practically, people don't know about him a lot, but he has done pretty a lot of work in that technical aspect. It's not easy to be a technical director for Croatia, okay, for all that long time. So if it is qualifications, if it is experience, this guy has that experience. And we cannot dwell into those friendlies that we saw. I think he's in a process of making up some players, making up a team that he can call his own. So yes, what also matters is we need a bit of some luck at those draws. Okay, we need a bit of some luck at those draws, but I think we are in a position that when you look at the development so far of what has happened, you tend to start believing to say this could be that time that we get back to AFCON.
Well, we'll wait and see for Tuesday, and we'll come next week to update you on the draws. Hope you'll be around, Bwezani, to update on that.
Well, yes. We'll announce at the end of this show if I'll be around or not. But that feels good to be here at least for the first time.
Yeah, sure. Now let's bring it to the Super League. 2 weeks ago, is it 2 weeks or a week ago, Zanaco lost to Pyramids in Egypt, and you and Pochelero Chama, you are the first one to break the news that actually Zambia has lost the slots, the 4 slots for the continental football. What's the correct position? Because Faz came in and said, no, we've not lost those positions. You still came back and defended, no, we've lost those slots.
Look, sometimes we are put in a very difficult position because the official spokesperson of Zambian football are the football fan of Zambia. You understand? So sometimes when they get it wrong, it's difficult. It's like you are fighting the whole lot of the federation. You understand? Because yes, you'll be called names ultimately, but this is public information, man. It is information that you can see. You don't have to wait for any confirmation elsewhere. If your team is involved in CAF games, there are points that are accumulated. Okay, and immediately the team starts. When they win, they lose. You know to say we have collected 0. What points, and ultimately at the time Zanaco was being eliminated, Zambia was on 24.5 points, and there were already teams that were above us and they're participating still in CAF. You understand? So the reasoning by the football association of Zambia that we should wait until all the games are played doesn't count any water for Zambia, because no matter how we wait, there's no team that is participating that is going to accumulate any points for Zambia. It's a fact. We are out of the top 12, and I think this is what has to be made clear to everyone watching this show. The first 12 nations that participate in CAF sends 4 representatives, 2 in the CAF Confederations Cup and 2 in the Champions League. After 12, which is 13, you start sending 2. It's a fact. Nothing will change. Yes, we want 4 slots, but we've put ourselves in a situation of 2. Look, there's no magic here. It's to calculate the points, and which are very clear. And I saw a point where someone was saying, if you remember very well, when Zambia, Zesco United did well, Ghana did well, we got the 4 slots. Do you remember CAF announcing that Zambia has gotten 4 slots? No need. There's no need to announce. These things are clear. It is just the letters that come from CAF to FAS asking for those 4 teams to be registered. There's no announcement that is made because everything is made very clear. So I think that was supposed to be made clear to everyone. And I'm waiting for that time. The Football Association of Zambia will now come up officially and tell the nations to say we have 2. Because that is not, we are not going to 4. It is true, and that is not changing. For me, who make the league table, I've already corrected that. The first team is going to go for the Champions League, and the second team is going to go for the Confederations Cup. Third and fourth, they are going nowhere.
Now, there's some critics there are some critics around Zambia that are saying, no, look, our club teams are performing poorly in the continent because of the quota system. Now, I want us to help the viewers tonight. I want to just break it down. What is the quota system? Make us understand, please.
So the quota system is that each club should not have more than 5 players who are coming from outside the country. Okay, that's the quota system in the simpler way. So if you are running a club, Reuben, and that club is in the Super League or National Division 1, you should not sign more than 5 foreign players. Okay, that's what the quota system is, and it was discussed at the last AGM. Okay, which actually was brought into effect. It will start being it will run into effect this coming season. But what the teams have done was, because this will run into effect, they started preparing. We saw Zesco United reduce the number of foreign players that they had. Okay, we saw teams that were participating in CAF reduce the number of players. Zesco United, as an example, we saw them going around the country, grouping players from their academy, because they knew by the time it is 2022, they will only be allowed to sign 5 players. And then we've also heard a lot of different statements from the Football Association of Zambia that in CAF, clubs are actually not so much restricted to the quota system. Now, which becomes a very complicated matter. Why am I saying complicated? Because how do you get a lot of players to just be used for CAF? And after CAF, you can't use them in the league. You understand? So I think for the Football Association of Zambia, they should just come straight. If you are going for the quota system, and if it needs amendments, let them amend it for all the teams, not only for the teams that are in CAF. Because once you are eliminated from CAF, what do you do with all those huge number of players that you have who are foreign players? So there are a lot of gray areas into this quota system, which needs to be made very clear. And I don't buy into this. Yes, my good friend Pancharello, I'm sure he's watching because I told him I was going to be on this channel. He's one of those that are pushing for the quota system to be reversed. I don't think it is a reason as to why we have failed to maintain the 4 slots. It's the reason is totally different.
So it's coming into effect in 2023, but the teams have already started preparing for it.
Yes, because look, they don't want to be hit, and the quota system comes into effect. They have a lot of foreign players that they have to release. There are contractual obligations to this. Understand what I mean? So most of the contracts for the foreign players, for instance, of some teams, were coming to an end at the end of last season. So what these teams did is, why renew? It's better you let them go, because the quota system ultimately, whether we like it or not, is going to start sending them out. Okay, so that is the reason as to why those that are saying the reason for failure to maintain the 4 slots is because of the quota system. You understand? Because they can't keep these players for long. That is only the reasoning that is there.
Wonderful. Now, this week on Tuesday, there was a breaking news. And the news was, I know you've forgotten Bwezani, but I usually keep my days and my news, my sports news every day. So the news was that actually the APSA Cup final has been moved to, is it April 30th? What was the reason behind that?
Well, there are a number of reasons that came through. One of the big reasons that we are told from the background is that the head of state wants to be the guest of honor at the APSA Cup. I think that's the reason that is looking like very huge. That is one. But I think for me, it is more to do with the football aspect of things. Okay, look, if you look at the teams that are playing in the final, Napsa Stars and Red Arrows, look at their positions. Okay, you look at their positions in their respective league. Napsa Stars in the Eden National University and the Red Arrows in the Super League. Red Arrows are close to winning the title. Okay, there's a 5-point lead. Napsa Stars needs a win to confirm that they're going to play Super League. Okay, now if the APSA final is played, Zesco United wins, the difference becomes 2 points. And then the teams that are chasing NAPSA will be close to whatever NAPSA is doing. Okay, so it just gives a very big disadvantage to them. So for me, this change of, yes, the head of state could be the reason, but I think it is also more to do with football reasoning. Okay, the APSA Cup final is coming at a very critical point where a team can lose the league and a team can still remain in the National Division 1. So they don't want these chances. This is the reason, if you have seen, I saw Perry Mutapa. Immediately after that, he was interviewed by his media team. He's not complaining. He knows it has a lot to do with football reasoning than what we're expecting about the president or whatsoever. Same with Chisimbe. That's the reason the two teams have not complained. Because by the 30th, when the APSA Cup is done, everything will be clear. The team that is getting the league, the team that has qualified to the Super League, everything will be very clear. And I think it won't be so tasking to the teams that have qualified to the final.
But how has been the competition, the 2022 APSA Cup competition for you?
Well, look, there's been a competition between the National Division 1 and the Super League. And if you check, the APSA Cup for this year has not lived to the expectation. Okay? Because there's only one team that has played football, and that's Red Arrows. Okay? It's the only team that has qualified without those penalty shootouts. Okay? So you see coaches that are being so cautious in all these games that we've watched, and it is becoming dangerous. Okay? We can't continue on those trajectory. We seriously need to be offensive. Okay? No one wants to be watching penalties through and through. And when we go to the national team, we still complain that we are not able to get goals. It's a lot to do with what is going on in our league. So practically, if you ask me, it's been one of those long APSA Cup that we can look at. Red Arrows, yes, has shown us a bit of some light, but the rest of the teams and the rest of the games have been very disappointing. You cannot have an APSA Cup that through and through teams are qualifying because of penalty shootouts. That's the reason as why if you look at the final, people are going to put Red Arrows as the hot favorite because of the way they have played. Napsa Stars have played 2 games. The 2 games have all been dependent on the penalty shootouts, which is a lot of you and me know. So getting into this, everyone is going to look at Red Arrows to be the favorite because it's the only team that has played football.
Oh, great. So let's talk about the Division 1. There's a fight there on who gets the fourth slot between the one you call as slot buyers and Mufulira Wanderers. So who is the favorite there to get that slot?
Yeah, first of all, look at the teams that Mufulira Wanderers will be playing. All those teams are safe. They are not winning the title. There's City of Lusaka, there's Zesco Malite Rangers. I can't remember the third one, but practically they are teams that are safe. Now you go to Changa Rangers, my slot buyers. There's something. Musa are not yet out from winning the championship, and that one is a tough game. Okay, and they'll be playing Musa. They are playing Young Green Buffaloes who can drop into that relegation zone. So among the two teams, first of all, Musa and Lumana Rangers have already taken the 2 slots. They have qualified. Nothing is going to happen. Immediately you reach 60 points in the National Division 1, you are done. Okay, that's what NAPSA is trying to do. NAPSA this weekend may go to 59. They may already win it on goal difference. Okay, so they look good to do that. Okay, but then between Mufulira Wanderers and the Nchanga Rangers, it more looks likely that Mufulira Wanderers could actually be getting that. Okay, first of all, there's so much pressure this weekend. If you look at the way the games have been lined up, 13 hours, Nchanga Rangers is playing Young Green Buffaloes. 15 hours, Mufulira Wanderers is playing City of Lusaka. In all honesty, these games are supposed to be played at the same time. But there's so much pressure that is going to be put on the other team. If
if Jaga Rangers beat Zesco Malite Rangers in the first, Young Green Buffaloes in the first game, you are likely to see a lot of pressure on Mufulira Wanderers. Okay, so vice versa as well. So that is where that pressure comes from. And Young Green Buffaloes is fighting not to get anywhere near that relegation. Yes, they look safe, but we all know how difficult they have been, especially when they are playing at home. So that is where it is. And it will be very, very, very tight between those two teams. Goal difference may come into effect, but again, let's look at the history here. Mufulira Wanderers, if you check very well, Mufulira Wanderers last season, they were eliminated on the last day of qualification. Okay, they played Chambeshi. They needed. Mufulira Wanderers played. Mufulira Wanderers played Zesco Malite Rangers. Chambeshi played Zesco. Let's get it right. Mufulira Wanderers were at home. Then Chambeshi were playing Zesco Malite Rangers. And Zesco Malite Rangers were from being beaten by Mufulira Wanderers. They lost on the last day to Chambeshi, and 1 point separated the Chambeshi and the Mufulira Wanderers. So they don't want to get into that situation again. Their last game is against Zesco Malite Rangers. They will have to win that game, and hoping Chaga Rangers are dropping points. They look good this time around, and I'm sure I'm sure they've learned their lessons. So I'm pushing Mufulira Wanderers more to qualify to the Super League than Changa Rangers. Nothing against Changa Rangers, but I think the opponents of Changa Rangers look more stronger, and they are pushing for something. That's what is difficult. The opponents of Changa Rangers are pushing for the championship, and they're also pushing for non-relegation. That's where it becomes very difficult. As I said, nothing personal. It just looks very difficult for Changa.
Now let me remind you of your predictions over that. You said Moza is going to qualify.
Okay. The host is having a bit of some challenges with network, and I can continue on this road. Yeah, it's a national Division 1, and I think what is very interesting. Yeah, you seem like you're having challenges. What is interesting about the national Division 1 is you can actually see that competition, and the competition is clear. If you look at what is happening in the Absa Cup with the teams that are coming from national Division 1. Lumana gave Nkana a very hell run at Nkana, at the Absa Cup. Okay, and then you see what Napsa Stars has done, eliminating Green Buffaloes. You see, eliminating Nkana. It's not easy. So it tells you to say this is one big achievement I think the football students of Zambia have done to create this national Division 1, a serious competition that is there, and you can see the results. Welcome back, Reuben.
Yeah, thanks. So I wanted to remind you of your predictions. Actually, you said Moza is going to qualify, Lumana Radiance is going to qualify, Napsa is going to qualify, and Mufulira Wanderers is going to qualify. So the three have qualified. We're waiting for Mufulira Wanderers, right?
Actually, the only teams that have qualified that Napsa
Moza
Stars
and Lumana.
Okay, so for the 2 hours, okay, Napsa Stars, I'm sure they will qualify. There is now Mufulira Wanderers and Chaga Rangers. I still maintain, even on this program, that it is Mufulira Wanderers that is going to make it.
Wait and see. And actually, tomorrow there is a double header. The Sword Bears and Mufulira, they're playing at the same time. Is it tomorrow?
Yeah, no, the games are on Sunday at Woodlands Stadium, not Saturday. They are on Sunday at. Maybe also you are one of those that are thinking today is Friday because it looks today is Saturday.
Saturday,
it looks Sunday. Yeah,
actually I meant Sunday.
After tomorrow. Yeah, at Woodlands Stadium, Young Green Buffaloes versus Chaga Rangers at 13 hours, and at 15 hours it is Mufulira Wanderers versus City of Lusaka. That is the place to be.
Wonderful. Let's bring it in the Super League. Now, last week again, we had let me say confusion. There was confusion at Nkana Stadium, Avaredi, because they have sanctions, and then we saw fans in the stands. Bwezani, what was that?
Look, it will be very difficult to blame Nkana fans this time around. Okay? I think for me, I don't want to mince my words. For me, the biggest problem of that confusion was the football scene of Zambia. Honestly speaking, how do you take a double header to a stadium that has a ban on the fans? Okay?
Okay,
Seriously.
Bwezani, before we
For
before
me,
we
there was some luck.
hold your thought, Bwezani. Hold your thought there. Let's assist our viewers. So we are saying Nkana was facing a ban. So give us a reason why they were given that ban by the FAS, by the Football Association of Zambia.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. That is actually working best for people to understand where this is coming from. So here is Nkana, an away team. They go to Koloma Stadium to play Red Arrows. Their fans are not happy with the proceedings of that game. Yeah, there was chaos. Of course, Nkana were beaten 3-0 by Red Arrows. Then they turned violent. Bottles, stones, everything thrown, and the ambulance of Red Arrows actually damaged. Okay, and the disciplinary committee did look into that case and charged Nkana 150,000 and the ban for the rest of the season at home. That was the ban. Okay, and then Nkana appealed. Okay, they did appeal to the appeals committee, and the appeals committee heard the case. What did they do? They reduced the 150,000 penalty to 15,000 kwacha, and only reduced the ban for the fans at Nkana Stadium to 2 games. 1 game against Konkola Blade and 1 game against Prison Leopards. So that is the background of that ban. Now, in that whole process, the Football Association of Zambia puts a double header because of TV, of course, at the Nkana Stadium, okay, where you now expect sets of 3 fans to come and the Nkana fans not to come. It was practically not possible. To make matters worse, the Nkana president of the fans, rather, Mr. Emmanuel Zulu, writes a memo to all the Nkana fans to come in any replicas. So there was confusion altogether, but where that confusion is coming from, that stadium was not supposed to be used for a double header because it had a ban on the fans. Because, ultimately now, after that, are any other teams going to accept a ban? You understand what I'm saying? So this is the confusion that the Football Association of Zambia, I think, is putting themselves into. It was a wrong decision, and I think even before anything else, they should just come out in open and apologize to other teams because Ghana was not supposed to have fans there.
So there was a double header. So the first game was Power Dynamos versus Indeni, and the Nkana fans actually had vowed to support Indeni, and Indeni was beaten 4-0. After that, they refused to go, stayed, and then Nkana lost. Yeah, you look at what is happening in that game. Indeni had a lot of supporters, and this is all building to the derby, okay, which is looking very positive for Power Dynamo and very negative for Nkana. Okay, yeah. Power Dynamos before that game has been very poor. Let's not even run away from that. They've lined up draws, and a lot was expected for them before that game. But, well, Power Dynamos was just too good on the day. Indeni seriously thrown into the relegation zone, and they didn't need that beating. Okay, they didn't need that beating, but Power Dynamos was so strong on the day. Coming to the second game, I don't know why people are shocked. Nkana is average this season. They don't have players. To be honest with you, they were playing at home.
They were playing at home, but Reuben, it's the same team that was playing at home last season. They were only saved because Basil came and he wanted to show Power Dynamos that is a different player altogether. You understand what I mean? Without Basil last season, Nkana were going to get relegated. You understand what I mean? So coming into this game, look at the players that they signed. Practically a very weak Nkana it is. So people shouldn't be surprised. Nkana is playing for the name, not any material that they have in that team. So to see Prison Leopards, and
let's give credit to Prison Leopards. This is a team the last week, the week before, that were almost beating Zesco United at Levi Manawasa Stadium. Zesco United only equalized at the death of that game. Understand? Everyone has forgotten about that game. They go to Nkana, beat Nkana 2-0. It's not coincidence. It's a team that is prepared to do whatever they are doing. Prison Leopards was a better team on the day, and they deserved the 3 points.
Yeah, they deserve the 3 points actually. Now we are going to take a short break, and when you come back, we're going to discuss the Nyanta boys with Bwezani. See you on the other side. Welcome back. If you're joining us, you're watching sports on Ubuntu channel. I'm with Bwezani with Zambian football. Bwezani, welcome back.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, before we went on the break, I said we were going to discuss about the Nyanta boys, the Green Buffaloes. Now the team started very well. They were topping the league. Everyone thought this time Green Buffaloes is going to get the Premier League. Then all of a sudden, they just fall from grace. Bwezani, what has happened to Green Buffaloes, the Nyanta boys?
Look,
They're being Nyanted this time around.
I was one of the people that said Green Buffaloes were serious title contenders. Okay, going 12 games without a loss, 1 draw from week 1. Remember, they started the season hosting Lusaka Dynamos, and that game ended 1-1. They were actually in a losing position, but they came back and equalized. After that, they were just winning. Okay, so they gave everyone a lot of hope. Okay, so what happened was they don't have a big squad. They concentrated so much on the very lean squad that they have, and they concentrated so much on one Friday. Sam, immediately he left. It was practically very difficult for them to actually maintain that. Okay, but it's a sad story. It's a sad story for Green Buffaloes, who are nowhere near any top 2 now, and nowhere near the top 4. We know the top 4 is not very significant this season around, but I think they needed to show some resilience of some sort, especially for a team that did all that run. Just as we said, it's not the first time that we are seeing them. 2017, Green Buffaloes again were in a similar situation until week 11 when they drop points. It's a very big lesson for them, because practically they need to get into the window, make up at least 2 teams. Okay, this is what the big teams are doing. You've seen the way Red Arrows are rotating players. Green Buffaloes do not have that luxury to do that. And that's the reason they've actually fallen from top to mid-table. Very embarrassing, to say the least. Yes, they can fire Justin Chinama. They can bring whoever they want to bring. Nothing will change. They don't have players to play 34 games in the season at that top level. They don't have.
So you are saying immediately Friday Sam was sold to South Africa. That's why the problem for Green Buffalo started.
No. It is one of the contributing factors. Even when Friday Sam was still around, after week 13, it was very difficult. Why? They relied on one player to get them goals. It's not possible. Okay, so by the time he was leaving, things were already bad. Okay, remember it was 12 games unbeaten, and then they got into close to 5, 6, 7, 10 games without a win. Okay, so Friday Samuels is still there, but the biggest reason was, how do you rely on the first 11 players? What happens when the players are injured? What is going to happen? You understand what I mean? So that is why Green Buffaloes have found themselves into this situation. It is that lean squad. It's not possible. 34 games is not a joke. And also, Green Buffaloes, remember, they struggled to actually do their preseason. Very important. Okay, I think they left for Kitwe towards the start of the season. Okay, by the time they were coming, they had to run into some games to get serious into the groove. They need to do better and prepare for next season.
So, what's your prediction for your top four this season?
Well, the
For
top
Super
four is very clear. For me, Red Arrows is winning the league. Yes, there are 5 points, and it looks, after they drew against Zanaco and the Zesco United won, everyone is now doubting to say, well, is this a breaking down of Red Arrows? I don't think so. You look at the game that they drew against Zanaco, it was a very silly mistake by the
Well, my guest seems to have some internet challenges there. So,
yeah, sorry, there was
please.
an incoming something. So gifted the go to Moses. They are playing Cafe Celtic this weekend. Okay, that is a game that will be looking like they can actually start winning it. Before the draw against Zanaco, they needed 9 points. Had they won that, they would have been looking for 6 points. But all that draw disturbed everything. They now need 7 points, okay, from 9 points to win it. And I think they can manage it. They can. That is by first beating Kafir Celtic this weekend. So my top four is Red Arrows number 1, Zesco United number 2, Green Eagles is definitely going to finish number 3, and Nkana may be very poor, okay, but I think they will still manage to pip any team that is coming there. But look out for Zanaco as well, because one more game in hand, they'll be in the same points with the Nkana. So look out for them. But I think Nkana will just edge it and finish in the top 4.
So you're saying that there will be no Continental in Southern Province this time around?
No. The Continental will only be for Red Arrows and Zesco United, unfortunately. Yes, Reuben, you and the other people can still wait for fans to make that official announcement. But in the world of Bwezani, there are only 2 teams that are going to make it for Cup.
Wonderful, Bwezani. I thought maybe you have forgotten about the slots. Yes, you still stick with your point.
I still stick.
Okay.
I've read this script several times, so I know it's only 2 teams for Zambia.
It's only 2 teams, and then there's another team that actually just was started very well. Then all of a sudden, they also, I don't know what happened along the way. That is Kafiwe Celtics. Kafiwe Celtics, they started the league very well. Actually, they had the surprise win against Zesco United. What has happened to Kafiwe Celtics?
It's not only against Zesco United. They picked big points against big teams. Power Dynamos was also beaten. Zesco United was beaten. Kasashi Dynamos was beaten. So it's a team that came very seriously. A bit of some immaturity in that team. That is a team of youngsters, okay? And I think their immaturity was more on going forward. They enjoyed playing football. It's a team. Even if I'm not working on Superfoot, I would actually go to where they are to watch that excitement. Okay, Joe Wilder did pretty well. Joe Wilder was a striker, and it tells you how Cafe Celtic plays. Okay, they don't know how to defend. They can. Okay, when we go and we are clapping, they would feel nice. They want to play with the ball in the 18 area. You don't do that in the Super League. That is school football. You understand? Not in the Super League. There's no time to play around with the ball. That's what personally, that's what I saw with the Cafe Celtic. And this has just come to bite them. I saw them against Lusaka Dynamos at Edwin Imbola Stadium. It is the stadium they've been using at their as their game. They were almost winning that game. It ended in a draw. Okay, a lot of chances. Of course, Albert Kangwanda, one of the players that will look at this season and say, excellent play that is there. But I think they needed more of maturity, and I'm not surprised that they'll be relegated. They had a lot of chances to survive, but they've just put themselves under pressure. The loss against Zanaco on Wednesday was just a nail in the coffin, and it looks very difficult now for them to survive. Yes, no team has been relegated as yet, but you can practically see that it is becoming very difficult for teams like Lusaka Dynamos in Delhi. That's just difficult.
All right, Bwezani, I will expose it to the public. There's a link that is in the comments, so just join that link. My technical director will allow you to join this program, and you can ask a question. You can ask Bwezani a question actually. So there's a link down in the comments. Follow that link. You will join this program. Then you can ask a question. You can ask Bwezani a question. My technical director, do you have any comments or any questions in the chat that we can take from the viewers? So Himba is saying brilliant work. Thank you, Himba. Nice to see you, Reuben. Thank you. Excellent program. Take off. Thank you. Someone saying he's watching from Charleston. Big up Reuben and Bwezani. Thank you. Do we have anyone in the background, Bwezani? Do you have anyone in the background?
No. I concentrated on this, so I was not watching on the other side. But there's something. There's maybe the director can actually bring the last comment that I saw. It was a bit long. We need to read it and just understand what that viewer was. Yeah, he says, doing great, Reuben. I am an armchair critic, Bwezani. Zambia have great young players, but the problem is that there are too much corruption, even in sport. Has that been looked into where players are taken with credibility? Yeah, straight up, I'll respond to that. And it is sickening. It is sickening, and it starts at club level. We know some coaches that are going to ask players to pay to play in these teams. Okay, we are gathering evidence, and once this evidence is gathered, seriously, some of these coaches needs to be exposed. Okay, this is the reason as why Zambian football is suffering, Reuben. I'll tell you the truth. Okay, there shouldn't be offertory at football teams. It's offertory is for church, man. Tithe is for church. You take tithe to the priest. Okay. Football is quality. Football is training. Okay. You don't pay a coach to be part of the team. I don't have evidence to the national team, but I've seen a lot of this happening. A lot of players, and I think for me, I'm calling on the players. Okay. The players are the ones that are going to save Zambia. They need to come out in open and start speaking. Start speaking to say this coach and this coach like money. They get money from us to play in that league. That is where the biggest problem is, and I agree. There's so much corruption in football, and it is killing. The moment the players are going to start speaking, this is going to reduce. It is happening because the players are scared. They tell us, but we can't expose these players because they're going to be put in trouble. They will never play football. You understand? Because I don't think it is one coach. There could be a number of coaches. So if this player stands up and speak, whichever club is going to go, he won't be played because the coaches will be scared to use them. It's a very big disservice, and I agree with the viewer there. This has to be looked into serious.
Now we are joined by Prof. Lance. I'll allow Prof. Lance to ask you a question or to give a comment.
All right. Hi, Reuben. And of course, hi, Bwezani. Good evening to you guys. My quick question to you, Bwezani, is bordered on the national team. We have seen time and again the national team failing to qualify properly for these international for let's say the AFCON, the World Cup, COSAFA mostly we qualify because we are either the title holders or maybe because we are in the region and therefore we automatically get to qualify into that. Now, what are we lacking? Is it a coach? Is it players? Or what needs to be done for the Zambia national soccer team to start performing to the expectation of people and also being able to qualify for these top-notch competitions or tournaments? For example, we missed out on the Africa Cup of Nations qualification, but we have formidable players that are playing the local league and those that are also playing from outside of Zambia. But we seem to be more dependent on people that are playing outside Zambia, the likes of Fashion Sakala, Patson Daka, and Enoch Mwepu. But when we come into tapping our own talent from the offensive, defensive, and tactical players in our own league, we fail to do that. What is really the problem?
Good question. First of all, for me, the biggest problem here is we have been so much in a hurry as a nation. Let me take you back to 2012. Zambia backed in the AFCON for the first time. Okay. Now look at the team that won. Where did it come from? 2004. Okay, that's when those boys were actually assembled. Okay, so there was a lot of consistency from 2004. These boys were playing together. By the time it was 2012, I'll tell you the truth. Zambia was not the best team at AFCON, but they understood themselves very well. Okay, they understood themselves very well because they were together for so long. At that point in 2012, we thought we had a team that would be continue just like that. By 2012, a lot of players were already aging in that team. Okay, so they had known themselves pretty well. 2015, remember they qualified to AFCON. They didn't even they didn't even lose a game. They were draws. Later on, it was difficult to qualify. We had an opportunity. 2017 under 20 AFCON, the one we hosted. We had a team. If we had maintained that team as the next national team, for me, it was going to be better. But we lost it. What did we do with the team? We started sampling players from that. This one, Patson, Fashion. Tell me, what happened to the rest of those players? You understand what I mean? So that is where we lost it. And until we get back to building a team again and exercise a bit of some patience, we are going to make it. Right now, we make a lot of mistakes because we are scared of what people are going to say next. Okay? And apparently, this is the reason as well. There's this coach, he loses 2 games, he's out. There's this coach, qualification to AFCON, which needs about 6 games. You are having 3 coaches. Practically not possible. Okay? This is the reason I said at the start of this program, can we use one coach? We have Asanovic. Let us give him all the 6 games. Ultimately, after the 6th game, we sit down and say, where was the problem? But I'm very sure if we do the right thing, the players we have, if we do the right thing, this is an opportunity for us to qualify. The reason we've been so much in a hurry for success, and success does not come like that in football. You need a bit of some patience.
Okay, so the Spacey Chama was just joined us. I'll give chance to Spacey Chama to ask you a question, Bwezani. Spacey, can go ahead.
Hello, hello, Mr. Bwezani. I hope you are good.
I'm good, Spacey.
Good. Myself, actually, I would derail you from what the topic you are on, but don't worry, it's football. Yeah, it's everything to do with African football now. You know the game against Nigeria versus Ghana. Yeah, you remember what happened. What I've noticed amongst our media, so because I want to hear your opinion. That's why I'm asking. So I want to phrase it in a way whereby so that you understand where I'm coming from.
Correct.
What I've noticed amongst our media, yes, there was a doctor who died, who was a Zambian doctor who was working there. But what I haven't seen, all the media outlets, they've been talking about, there's a doctor who died, a Zambian doctor and all that. That's it. What they are not talking about is, what is FIFA going to do about the stampede, or should I put it in a better way, the one they normally use in the FIFA rules, which says invading the pitch? Because during a match, if the match finishes, it doesn't mean that the fans should go on the pitch. That's against FIFA regulations. Yeah. So by doing that, somebody ended up dying. So what are the penalties the Nigerian FA is going to face? What do you think about that? Because nobody has been, I haven't heard any of our media houses in Zambia speak in terms of that. So I don't know what you think. I'll leave it at there.
Thank you. A very unfortunate situation there. Of course, we lost Dr. Kavungo in the process. A very good man, a very good friend of mine, actually. Most of the time we went to do Super League games, and I'm there, you will see me and say, Bwezani. That's how he used to refer to me. So may his soul rest in peace. But then let's get back to what Percy is talking about. There's been an inquiry put together already to study the events of that fateful day. And I don't think FIFA, honestly speaking, Percy, I don't think FIFA is going to keep quiet. You are very right. People concentrated so much on the death of Dr. Kavungo and not really starting those assumptions of what is expected, okay, which is very disappointing. Possibly, if Nigeria had qualified to the World Cup, that game was going to be reversed, okay? It was going to be one of the first punishments there because of failing to provide security. It's a huge case, okay? And believe you me, Nigeria is not going to go scot-free because of that invasion. You expect some bans that are going to be given, not only by FIFA, but by CAF, okay, for failure to provide security. Because, look, luckily, it's not even lucky. It's unfortunate that we had one person die, but the situation could have been worse. So I don't think FIFA is sleeping, okay? And Percy is right. The media, especially in Zambia, have to bring up this, what type of punishment is expected to be put on Nigeria. But I'll tell you, it's ban that is coming. And if that ban is not coming, people will be very worried. So I'm very optimistic. This is a very low FIFA committee now that we have. Believe you me, Percy, there's something coming. And luckily, the inquiry team has been put to investigate the reasons of what happened. And after that, they'll have to give it up to the disciplinary committee of FIFA, and would expect something big to hit Nigeria.
I'm going to allow last two people to join us. One of them is Gladys. Now, Gladys is joining us live from Denmark. Gladys, good evening, and go ahead with your question to Bwezani.
Good evening, Bwezani.
Good evening.
Yeah, thank you for your lovely program. I just have a comment and just one question. That it's a pity to see that the Red Devils, that they are really struggling, which probably seem to tell a lot about soccer today. Like, for example, the Red Devils, which is in Ghana, it has produced super players like Makwaza, Zed Saileti, Joseph Musonda, and to mention but a few. And that was when the Mines were doing really well. And to see that the Ghana Red Devils is struggling, it tells a lot about that probably the club is not motivating the player well. And my question is, why do we have to get the foreign play? Why do we have to get foreign players when we have a lot of talented young men and women? I mean, young men in soccer.
Well, you shouldn't have deleted the women. Even women also stands in this aspect.
True.
But Gladys, the situation is, it gets back to the quota. And I think this is the reason. Reuben knows I support the quota system. It's my friend also watching in the name of parents that has seriously issues with the quota system. Now, the quota system is being brought to give an opportunity to Zambian players to showcase their talent. Okay? But so far, the evidence of what we have seen, and I'll be very honest with you, Gladys, on this part. The evidence of what we have seen, there's so much of the laissez-faire attitude from the Zambian players. Okay? I don't know what fear they have. They seriously need to up their game, okay, to start competing. You see a lot of discipline on foreign players, okay? Those are the lessons that the Zambian players have to learn. I'll give you an example. One of my best friends in Zambian football is Jackson Jesse Were. See Jesse Were when the team loses. He's upset. Our Zambian players will be busy taking selfies. Come on, you've lost, man. Understand? So I think there's, yes, as we are also pushing that Zambian players should play more, we need seriousness in the Zambian players. After the games, where do we see them? Okay? It's their profession. We are actually protecting them. Where do we see Zambian players after the game? Understand? So there's a bit of some discipline that has to be put in. They should know to say this is their profession. This is what puts bread and butter on their table. They need to be serious. You see, I'll give you practical examples. Look at the discipline aspect of players like David Owino. He's now at NAFSA Stars. Even after dropping to that level, look at Otieno, the goalkeeper of Zesco United. This is the attitude that I'm talking about. We had Adam Zikir. Now, if you talk about the Zambian players, they're accountable. That we can see that they are seriously in it for their profession, for their game. That is what lesson that we should learn. And for Nkana, sorry, the issue at Nkana is definitely money. Okay? The executive has to do a lot to once again bring sponsors into that, because currently they are not able to afford big players that are going to change the dimension and change the way things are happening at Nkana.
Thanks. And the last one tonight is Himba. Himba, good evening, and you can ask your question to Bwezani.
Thank you so much, Reuben. Good evening, Bwezani.
It's quiet. I'm not getting the question.
Are you able to get me now?
Yes.
Yes. Can go ahead.
Okay. Bwezani, me really my question is, you've said way back they were building a team, right? But first they had a team which would be built together for some time, and even when they went for the international matches, they were able to perform very well because they knew and understood each other's language, communication, and everything. Now my question is, what has gone wrong now? Why can't we build a team? Like, remember in the past when we were growing up, the moment we see the team by Independence Stadium, this Pali Johnston, Pali Joe Bwadia, Pali Kalusha Bwadia. You even know the team. But manje, we have to wait when the game is about to start. What has gone wrong? And the second one, do we have any psychological support for our players? Because sometimes they look very stressed. I rest my case.
Thank you so much. What has gone wrong? I agree with you. Effort Chavala, John Soko, Whiteson Changwe, Eston Mulenga. We used to Robert Watiakeni, you know, Debbie Makinka, Kalusha Walia. And actually, Kalusha Walia was not, that team would actually manage to play without Kalusha Walia. They would ask him, are you coming? No. Okay, it's okay. Then came Moses Chikwala Kwala, Kelvin Mutali. He scored the 3 goals in Madagascar just before the Gabon air crash disaster. So to just agree with you to say, before the disaster, you could mention these names. This time around, you after mentioning Patson Daka and Enoch Mwepu and Fashion Sakara, you start struggling. Who else is coming? Okay. Now, what I said, what has gone wrong is in 2012, we thought we had a team. We stopped building after winning the AFCON. We stopped building. We continued with the same national team without infusing new talent. By the time the team was tired, it was difficult for the boys that were actually coming to take it up and row. Okay, that is where the challenge was. And this is the reason now we are saying we lost an opportunity again in 2017 when we could not maintain the under 20 that won the AFCON at Heroes Stadium. We lost that opportunity. Okay, now that we have a coach and we have players that can be grouped, can we not do more experiments again? Can Asanovic stick to players that he can use? We shouldn't have a situation of Mitchell that in 6 friendlies, it's totally different players altogether. And finally ended up getting Kenneth Mwene, who had retired, to come and embarrass him. You understand what I mean? Yeah, and we were knocked out of the COSAFA. Okay? So that is a coach running out of ideas. I think Asanovic should actually learn. And there are technical people in this team that could actually be helping, understudy, that are going to help Asanovic on where the players are. I think we can develop in that aspect. Do we have psychologists? Yes, we have at national level. I don't know about at club level, but at national level, Asanovic has a back room staff that helps talk to players. And I think it is very critical. Why it is very ineffective is that the national team meets seldom. Okay? Where we need psychologists is at club level, where all these players are. Because if you look at the national team now, the only players that have seriously psychologists are those that are playing in Europe. Watson Daka, Fashion Sakala, those few players. But in Zambia, okay, then Kalibu Mbela create arrows that could psychologists. Zero. There's nothing. The only people we know is technical director, coach, goalkeeper coach. We need to seriously invest in this because there's no way a player is going to be on top of his game this season. The next season he has problems because I'm a Congole Kumanyumba. We hear these things. You understand what I mean? So you need to talk to these players, and I agree with the last question. You seriously need a psychologist to put into the mind of these boys, especially when you're going towards a big game. You see, they get scared. We saw what happened. Let me even give you a practical example. Kaba Warriors in the last ABSA Cup, where their players were even scared to take penalty shootouts. Scared, Chris Mumba, scared to take penalty shootouts. Okay, that just shows lack of confidence, and those are the players that seriously need to be talked to.
Thanks, Bwezani, and thanks, Simba, for that question. I've got the last person now, Dr. Tommy. Dr. Tommy, please go ahead and ask the question to Bwezani.
Thank you, Reuben. Bwezani, I just want to appreciate your coverage of sport this evening, and Jerome, also excellent show. But the point I wanted to make in Zambia is in the line of the grassroots, or what I can say like youth football. I don't know the position of Zambia when it comes to development of youth structures. I remember when I used to be in secondary school, 1986, we used to have a strong secondary school league competitions. And structures were like working under, under 15, under 17, under 12. So to me, the focus is mainly on the senior team, forgetting the youth. So if we can boost our youth structures in the country, I think there could be a better pool of players from there. And that will even enhance the league to be strong. I think we have lost it on the youth development in the country. The structures are no longer visible like they used to be. I don't know what's your take on that, Bwezani. Thank you.
Very brilliant. Very brilliant comment. Yes, the development. And this is the reason as to why, even in the provincial division 1, I don't want to see a foreigner. What would be a foreigner doing in a provincial league? You understand? So I think these rules should be effected, okay? The development of football at provincial level should be for Zambians. The two professional leagues in Zambia, which is Eden University and the Super League, should accommodate foreigners. That one has no problem. But I totally agree with Doc. We seriously need to revert. School International has actually ended. We don't see it. It is done, but at a very minimal level. The route now would be how do we strengthen the leagues in the provinces? That is where we are going to actually do well. And in this aspect, you see, Reuben, I'll tell you one thing. Where we are headed to, it's a disaster. Coaches are not being trained. There's a very limited scope of coaches in the country. Even when we go to these provincial leagues, you realize that the coaches that are training them are like me, who has a car for what? No, Phase D. These licenses that we are getting, okay? Phase D, which we are able to get in 5 days. These are the coaches that we have in provinces. So I think the core should be to the Football Association of Zambia to widen the net, train as many coaches as possible, then to make sure that we are now able to do what? To effect the techniques that are being lined up by the technical director to go around the provinces. For me, that is where some progress is going to be. To confirm to you that we are running out of coaches. Tenant Silumba, Kawe Warriors, Forest Rangers, Kasashi Dynamos, now technical director was one coach. All those teams, he's gone round. Okay? Justin Chinama has been released by Green Buffaloes. You will see one of the teams will pick him up. Okay? That's the challenge which is there. We have a very small pool of coaches, and it will affect all this development that Doc is talking about. Let the Football Association of Zambia, as much as possible, invest in the training of coaches with the better badges, CAF C, CAF A, CAF B. Okay? Well, some of us who wants to know a bit about football, yes, we're going to do Phase D. When another level comes, we'll jump into there because it is important for the work that we do. A lot needs to get interested to go into coaching.
Thanks very much, Bwezani. Actually, we need to go now. We've run out of time. Your last remarks, Bwezani. And which fixture should you look out for this weekend?
Well, there are a lot of games going on this weekend. Of course, Beautcon will be hosting the Kasashi Dynamos. That one is a key game. Zesco United away to Power Dynamos. Now, remember the reverse fixture, Power Dynamos ran riots at Levi Mwanasa Stadium, but this one is at the Davis Stadium. That one is huge. Red Arrows also taking on Kafia Celtic is one game that could actually tell us where this season is ending. Those are the key games that we have. In my concluding remarks, a lot of thanks to Ubuntu. I was almost failing. You made sure that I came to this evening, and I'm not regretting. I had to stop and then enjoy this show. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and well, I would be gladly able to come back again. And for all the comments that I saw, none of the comments were from slot buyers. We wish them all the best this coming Sunday as they wish to get into the Super League. Those will be my remarks.
Thank you very much, our viewers. Please note that the sports program comes every Friday at 21 hours. Next week, please join us and spread the word that sports on Ubuntu comes on Friday. Now, Bwezani, I want us to do one thing. I want us to salute for Musa for making it to the Super League. It's congratulations. There's now Super League again back in Mazaboka.
Yeah, that is good.
Musa. Yeah, and good night to everyone. Good night, Bwezani.